Hello everybody, my name is Dee Kearney and I'm an author, and like most of us authors at the moment, and everybody, we're all in COVID land and going slightly stir crazy in our homes, so it's difficult to promote our work at the moment. So I thought I would head for the internet and just read you the introduction to my latest novel, which is called Rhia's Walk, and I'll just get you have a little glimpse of it. Rhia's Walk, so that you can recognise it, by Dee Kearney. You can find me on all the normal outlets, Amazon, Waterstones, WH Smith's, but essentially it's a story of two women from two different decades, from two different eras, and how the young woman who is running from abuse boards the ferry to France from England. And on her journey, she encounters a reclusive artist, Rhia, who is living on the outskirts of Josselin in Brittany, and is about the developing relationship between the two women and how one has the ability to move on and one has made a prison by living in the past. And yet that chance encounter has brought fresh blood into a person's life that kind of opens the door and lets the sunlight back in. So, I hope you enjoy it. I will get straight onto it, and I will open on the initial introduction, which is actually entitled Old Endings, and it's basically set with Rhia in 1995. At what small moment, insignificant, unnoticed, does a past start to destroy the future? Is it a progression of moments that we follow relentlessly without regard for what we may bring down upon us? Or is it truly fate, a slight deviation from the norm perhaps, that sets us on a path of destruction? Rhia sat silently. Through the thin material of her skirt, the damp earth clawed at the flesh of her thighs, and she shivered. She sat in quiet regard as the mountains, calm, majestic, and unbelievably beautiful, beckoned her on even higher. She had a choice to make. Would she make the right one, or become a pawn at the hands of fate and her own destiny? How does the end of a life start? Is it a slow realization, a state of panic, or just merely tired of the game? What brings someone to the point where it no longer really matters, and they opt for death with an almost que sera attitude? She rested her chin on her hands and her elbows on her knees, lost in the reasoning. The evening drew on, and with it the cold. All she had to do was stand up and walk down the mountain, or not. She looked at the snow-laden roofs below, illuminated by the oncoming sunset and the early evening lights, musing on the scenarios that were likely being played out right now by those seemingly intelligent and reasonable people living in those nouveau riche, cosmopolitan, cuckoo clock homes. Such games, such twisted, bitter and selfish games, games with no humanity, games for the sake of games, from sheer boredom and with no regard for damage done. Revenge without reason, manipulation for the sake of ego. In short, activity to break the mediocrity of their lives. It seemed to her that on the whole, people were just facades. Few of them were worthy of even trust or even simple regard. This much she had learned. It had been a slow process, starting early, a gradual peeling away of faith, and in its place a growing cynicism and despair. Each small event chipping away at something innocent and beautiful, till all that remained was the woman sitting quietly and still, awaiting the end of her day. The stillness of the approaching evening crept insidiously over her, and with it the cold intensified, yet she felt nothing. For a half smile slowly warmed the face that had recently started to line with the pain and years of longing. The veiled but visible sadness that once hovered in the lovely eyes lifted, and it was though all had been a mere moment that could just be easily forgotten, like some small, insignificant memory, wiped away once more. She sought sanctuary in a place of ancient times and distant music. Her eyes sparkled with some overwhelming and joyous emotion. Certainty. The first opening chords of Massive Attack's Teardrop echoed through her mind like the distorted overture on an aging piano, and she was no longer on a hillside in Switzerland. Breathing deeply and quietly the air of the mountain that should have been her last living memory, it was instead the musk of his skin she remembered, telling its own story of their lovemaking. She inhaled it, tasted it, and once more she was years ago on a red wine-scented April evening, trembling, mouth on mouth, on an intensity of passion that she had thought only soulmates could create. Immeasurable what I feel for you. The words of a poem she had written for him drifted through her memory, and with it she was lost to the present and to all its pain. Thank you. I do hope you like my book. I found it a very moving journey to write it as myself, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you do, please review it on Amazon. It all helps us as authors. So thank you very much, and enjoy Rhia's walk. Bye bye.